In a quiet village on the outskirts of the eastern region of Ghana, where red earth roads stretched between mud houses and the sound of morning roosters marked the beginning of each day, lived a woman named Abena Serwa. Abena was known by everyone, but not because she was wealthy or influential. She was known because of her suffering. Her husband, Kwakamensa, had died suddenly 3 years earlier after a brief illness. Since then, life had not been kind to her. She was left alone with her young son, Kojo, in a small, cracked mud house with a leaking roof that sang loudly whenever rain fell. People in the village whispered about her. Her life ended the day her husband died, some would say. She has nothing left, others would conclude. And in truth, it seemed they were right. Abena had no farmland of her own, no steady income, no relatives willing to help. The little she managed came from washing clothes for others and selling small bundles of firewood she gathered from a forest. Some days, she and her son ate once. Other days, they drank only water and slept early to silence the hunger. But there was one thing Abena refused to lose: her faith. Every morning before sunrise, she would kneel on the cold floor of her room, her wrapper tied tightly around her waist, her eyes closed, her voice trembling but steady. "Father in heaven," she would pray, "I may have nothing, but I still have you. Do not forget me." Even when her stomach growled, she prayed. Even when her son cried from hunger, she prayed. Even when neighbors mocked her quietly, she prayed. One evening, after returning from a long day with no work and no money, Abena found her son sitting quietly outside their house. "Mama," Kojo said softly, "will we eat today?" The question pierced her heart like a sharp knife. She forced a smile. "Yes, my son. God will provide." But that night, there was nothing. No food. No fire. No hope in sight. Kojo fell asleep with tears in his eyes, clutching his stomach. Abena sat beside him in the darkness, staring at the empty pot in the corner of the room. For the first time in years, her faith trembled. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "God," she whispered, her voice breaking, "have you forgotten me?" Silence answered her, the kind of silence that makes the heart feel even heavier. But then something within her stirred, a quiet conviction, not loud, not dramatic, just a gentle voice in her spirit. "Trust me." Abena wiped her tears, stood up slowly, and knelt again. "Even if I do not understand," she said, "I will still trust you." The next morning, something unusual happened. A stranger arrived in the village. He was an elderly man, dressed simply, carrying a small worn bag. No one knew where he came from. He went from house to house asking for water and food. Most people turned him away. Some shut their doors. Others pretended not to hear. When he reached Abena's house, she was just stepping out. "Good morning," the old man said gently. "Please, I am hungry. Do you have anything I can eat?" Abena froze. Her heart raced. She had nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not even a handful of gari. For a moment, she thought of saying no. After all, she and her son had not eaten. But then she looked at the man's face. Tired, weak, hungry, and something in her spirit spoke again. Without fully understanding why, she said, "Please, sit down." She entered her room, stared at the empty pot, and whispered a quick prayer. "God, I have nothing, but I cannot turn him away." She searched every corner of the house and found a small cup of leftover corn dough, barely enough for a child. She hesitated. Then she took it, added water, and cooked a thin porridge. She brought it to the old man with both hands. "It is not much," she said softly, "but please take it." The old man looked at her, long and deep, as if seeing beyond her poverty. "Thank you," he said. He ate slowly, carefully, as though honoring every spoonful. When he finished, he stood up and smiled. "May the God you trust never leave you empty again." Then he left. No drama, no thunder, no miracle in that moment, just words. Abena watched him walk away until he disappeared beyond the trees. She returned inside, unsure whether she had done the right thing. But strangely, her heart felt lighter. That afternoon, something unexpected happened. A woman from the village rushed to her house. Abena, are you home? Yes, she replied. My sister in the next town needs someone to help with her food business, the woman said. She asked me if I knew anyone hardworking and honest. I thought of you immediately. Abena blinked in disbelief. Me? Yes, you. Can you go tomorrow? Abena nodded quickly, her voice shaking. Yes, I can. That opportunity changed everything. The work was not easy, but Abena was diligent. She woke up early, worked tirelessly, and treated the business as if it were her own. Within months, the business owner trusted her deeply. Within a year, she was made a partner. And not long after, Abena started her own small food business. The same woman who once had nothing began to earn enough to feed her son, repair her house, and even help others. But what shocked the village most was not her success. It was her generosity. Abena never forgot where she came from. She fed the hungry, helped widows, paid school fees for children. And every time someone asked her how she made it, she would simply say, I had nothing, but I had faith. Years later, someone asked her if she ever saw the old man again. Abena smiled gently. No, she said, but I believe God visited me that day and tested my heart. Moral lessons. 1. Faith is strongest when tested in hardship. True faith is not proven in comfort, but in moments of emptiness and pain. 2. Give even when you have little. Generosity is not about abundance, it is about the heart. 3. God's help often comes quietly. Not all miracles are dramatic. Some begin as small opportunities. 4. Obedience unlocks blessings. Abena's breakthrough started the moment she chose compassion over fear. 5. Never lose hope, even in silence. God is working behind the scenes. 6. Your situation can change suddenly. One act of faith can open doors no human effort could.